I've always had a love-hate relationship with the Trickster ever since he came to Dead by Daylight in 2021. When I first saw him in the PTB, I immediately fell in love with his character. I adored everything about it, from his lore, aesthetic, and personality. But there was something that always let me down. His power. When he came out, I tried so hard to get into it, but every time I played him, I always questioned myself, why am I not just playing Huntress right now? Or even Deathslinger? What is the point of his power, and how is it different to anything else? Throughout the years after, Trickster ended up getting many more changes, but none of these changes really helped him in any substantial way, and just kind of left him in his final state as a brainless, knife-throwing machine. So when I heard that rework or big change was coming to Trickster, I was extremely ecstatic. So finally the day came, and we got to see what behavior had been cooking for him. And on the outside, it was looking great. A new rank up system that rewards skill plays and opened the door to not only interesting add-ons, but interesting effects as his ranks went up. But as soon as I saw what it was like on the PTB, and then later to live with little changes, sadness began to take my heart. All they ended up really doing was reverting Trickster to his old state with some new flashy effect, or at least that's how it felt anyway. Even then, these changes did absolutely nothing, as the ranking system is so easy to rank up that it doesn't really matter if you go for these long shots or cool trick shots, because you'll probably rank up just as quick anyway. I know from most Trickster games I play, I easily get S rank most of the times without even having to try. And with this change, they didn't even address his two main issues. That is, his fun to go against, and his issues at high walled loops. Now mind you, the old version of Trickster where he was just mindlessly throwing knives, they made him 115% speed, which was great for catching up with survivors in these type of loops where his power was basically useless. But now with these changes, they've put him back to 110, which now just makes him just as bad as he was with those loops, with no way to really help himself. This just made this change completely redundant for Trickster, as it did not improve his fun factor, or even his lethality to a degree. But I wouldn't say all hope is lost, because these changes, as I mentioned earlier, were a great basis ground and you can do a lot with them. Unfortunately, behavior I guess just didn't think of cooler ideas and just thought, oh yeah, make him shoot faster, make him reload faster when he ranks up. I'm sure that will be good, even though that will just make him more miserable to play against. Behavior had a perfect idea for the rank up system that they just ended up not using, and this was the different type of knives that Trickster has in his add-ons. Granted, now it's only left to the ricochet knives, but before there was piercing knives and exploding knives. So why didn't Behavior use these and incorporate them in a way for ranking up? Maybe at C tier he could have his piercing knives, and at B tier he could have his exploding knives, and then at A have his ricochet knives and be able to swap between the different effects, kind of like Knight does with his guards. And that's just scratching the surface from what we've been shown by Behavior. You could have things like heavy knives that you chuck into survivors and the survivors have to remove themselves as a bit of slowdown. But maybe with these heavy knives, the trajectory of the knives are worse, so they fall down quicker. This then gives Trickster a great bit of versatility of handling different situations when he needs to. Now next up is the add-ons. When they changed Trickster, I was hoping that maybe they would have some more interesting add-ons, but they don't really. They kept some that are now basically redundant. For example, the one that lets you reload quicker, which is basically pointless now that you reload quicker when you go up style points, so there's no need for that add-on. And they have some that just increase main event, which is just kind of boring and not fun to use. And then they have other ones that do some other effects that just aren't useful. Granted, there are some that are quite fun. For example, the one that when you go up ranks, you get faster braking in basically everything, which is quite fun. And the one that I think should be base kit with laceration doing more damage from a distance. But apart from that, a lot of them are either stayed the same or just kind of are boring, and it's kind of annoying, but I guess that's the issue that most killers have anyway when it comes to add-ons. So not even with the changes I suggested, but you could have had so much more knife variety when it came to the add-on. You could maybe have had knives that make you undetectable when you get to a certain rank or whatnot. I don't really know. I'm kind of just spitballing ideas here. The thing is though, if we buff Trickster like this, that wouldn't really solve the issue of, you know, being fun to go against. So how could we do that? And if we're making the ranking up more powerful with things like base knife variety, then we're going to have a way for survivors to lower those ranks, surely? And this is where my other ideas come in, which I think will not only make Trickster more fun to go against, but will also add a little more strategy to how you play Trickster. We all know Trickster is a massive egomaniac, so what better way to counter him than to destroy his ego? This could include things like pallet stunning, blinding, or finishing heals or gens in front of his face, which would then lower his style ranking, so he has to rebuild it up again to get his powerful knife effects. This adds a lot of risk reward to the survivor gameplay against Trickster, where you'll have to decide if you want to heal in front of Trickster and risk going down, or maybe getting rid of his style points and making him a little weaker. I think overall this would make Trickster a lot more interactive to go against, and even as Trickster, choosing between what knives to use in a situation would also have to make survivors think about how they're going to react to whatever knife you use. And I think that would be a very good way to make Trickster a lot more fun to go against, and even fun to play as he has a lot more to work with and many more choices you can make as him to be able to determine whether you win or lose. Overall, I did really like the idea of this comeback chapter, and I hope that they do it for more killers in the future. Although maybe the Trickster rework wasn't as good as I was hoping it to be, and to be honest, I doubt Behavior will do these changes I suggested, though it would be nice, just saying, though I am just a random YouTuber who just made one random Dead by Daylight video, so the chances that they're gonna see this is very unlikely. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If there's any feedback you want to give when it comes to the actual video making, or even my suggestions for Trickster, please leave them down in the comments below. This is like one of my first videos on Dead by Daylight as a commentary style, and also one of my first, I guess, general commentary things. I mean, I kind of did some on visual novels before, but then that kind of stopped and I went into drum covers. But if you enjoyed this type of content, let me know and I'll do more Dead by Daylight videos, because I'm sure there isn't enough people doing that on the internet. Anyway, thank you for watching, and toodle pips.